It is not often that a match is stopped midway through a set due to excessive sweat coming from a player. The talking point of Novak Djokovic's latest win at the US Open as much as about the humidity as it was about his triumph. On what was another hot and humid night at the Arthur Ashe Stadium, Djokovic was leading Australian's John Millman by 6-3, 2-2. Then, in a usual move, Millman approached the former world number one at the net and asked if he could walk off the court to change his kit, which was soaked by sweat. Even though it was not at a changeover, Millman was allowed to leave the court during what was a 6.5-minute delay. "I could do with a rest," Djokovic said during the scenario. The somewhat unorthodox delay triggered a statement being issued by the USTA, who is in charge of the US Open. In it, they said that Millman was allowed to leave the court during the set in accordance to the equipment out of adjustment rule that was enforced, meaning the world number 55 wouldn't be charged with either an official change of attire or a bathroom break. The chair determined that the surface was dangerous enough to invoke the equipment out of order provision in the ITF rights and procedures for officials and allowed Millman to go off court and change shoes, clothes. Both players agreed that he should do so. The USTA statement read, "It is not the first time players have been suffering with the conditions at the tournament this year." Roger Federer said that he felt like he couldn't breathe whilst playing his fourth-round match on Arthur Ashe, which he lost to Millman. Last week, for the first time in US Open history, a special extreme weather warning was applied to men's matches, allowing them to take a 10-minute break after 3 sets. Speaking about the conditions, Djokovic has called for the USTA to take action in regards to ventilating the courts, saying that it feels like a sauna when he plays on the premier Arthur Ashe Stadium. "I asked the chair umpire whether they are using some form of ventilation or air conditioning down at the court level side, and then he says that he's not aware of it, that only what comes through the hallway type of thing," Djokovic told reporters. "I think that this tournament needs to address this. I mean, because whether it's night or day, we just don't have air down there. It feels like sauna." Millman, who played in his first ever Grand Slam quarterfinal, also suffered in the heat, although he refused to let it deter him from one of the biggest matches of his career. "In these night matches, the humidity goes through the roof," he said. "It is tricky, but it's the same for both people. You're dripping. But that's no excuse or anything. I'd play in a swimming pool if I got to play a quarterfinal every week at a Grand Slam." Djokovic defeated Millman 6-3, 6-4, 6-4. He will play Japan's Kei Nishikori in the semi-finals on Friday. The 13-time Grand Slam champion fought off various lulls to defeat Roger Federer's vanquisher in straight sets. Novak Djokovic, US Open. Via Twitter, Novak Djokovic pushed into the semi-finals of the US Open despite an at times iffy performance, defeating John Millman in straight sets and avoiding falling victim to the same unheralded Australian who upended Roger Federer 2 days earlier. The 13-time Grand Slam champion won Millman's opening service game and never trailed en route to the 6-3, 6-4, 6-4 win, but was forced to grind out the win over 2 hours and 49 minutes as Millman put up a valiant fight, extending rallies to dozens of shots on countless occasions. Djokovic looked well in control, serving at 3-2 in the third, but was called for a time violation and subsequently double faulted to give Millman break point. Then, he appeared to knowingly receive a second violation, costing him a first serve, and played a poor point to hand the Australian the break back. 3 games later, the Serbian won 3 straight grinding rallies to procure triple break point, the third of which he converted when Millman slammed a forehand into the net. 4 points later, Djokovic knocked a soft backhand volley back across the net to secure his win. Those late dramas marked only the final swings in the match. Before beginning to serve at 2-2 in the second set, Millman approached the net and asked Djokovic if he could leave the court and change his sopping wet clothes in the oppressive humidity. An exhausted Djokovic agreed and enjoyed a several-minute respite, after which he raised his level. Millman staved off break points shortly thereafter, closing a 27-ball rally with an emphatic forehand, and saved yet more at 4-4, making 11 in a row fought off before a superb Djokovic return. An untimely Millman double fault handed the Serbian a lead he would not relinquish. That edge carried from the second set, which Djokovic closed with serve and volley on set point, to the third. A double fault gave him an early break point, which he converted when Millman missed a forehand. Djokovic, presently number 6 in the world, continued to strike the ball cleanly in TK. Such form resembled the opening games. Two strong Djokovic ground strokes gave him an early 2-0 lead, and Millman was forced to work for every point he won. That included an 8-deuce, 16-minute game at 1-4, which the 29-year-old Aussie only closed with a superb backhand winner on the penultimate point. He earned his first breakpoint as Djokovic served for the set, forcing the Wimbledon champion to run down several near winners. He closed out the set 2 points later, but his level dipped shortly thereafter. 2 sets and a few lulls later, Djokovic had booked his place against Kei Nishikori in the semi-finals despite converting a woeful 4 of 20 breakpoint opportunities and tallying 53 unforced errors. The 38-year-old revealed her decision during a special press conference that took place at the U.S. Open. Italian veteran Francesca Schiavone has retired from tennis at the age of 38 following a professional career spanning more than 20 years. The former world number 4 announced her decision during quarter-finals day at the U.S. Open, a tournament she reached the last 8 at back in 2003 and 2010. During what was a heartfelt and emotional speech, she said she have been debating stepping away from the sport since the conclusion of this year's French Open. It was 3 or 4 months ago that I was thinking about retirement. After Roland Garros I was already in that direction. Then I spent some months to think about it, to be sure. To feel good and happy with myself, Schiavone told reporters in New York. The decision to retire comes after what has been a difficult year for the 38-year-old. She hasn't played a competitive match since losing in the first round of the Gstaad Open back in July. In total, she has lost all 7 on her main draw matches played this season, resulting in her falling down the rankings to 454th in the world. During her career, Schiavone has featured in 20 WTA finals, winning 8 titles. Her biggest triumph occurred back in 2010 when she defeated Samantha Stosur to win the French Open. In total she has featured in 70 Grand Slam main draws, the third highest in the Open era after Amy Frazier, 71, and Venus Williams, 80. Serena Williams is closely behind Schiavone with 69 appearances. Schiavone also enjoyed success in the doubles by reaching a ranking high of 8th in 2007. Claiming a total of 7 doubles titles on the tour between 2001 to 2009. She was also runner-up at the 2008 French Open with partner Casey Dellacqua. When I was 18-year-old I had 2 dreams. The first one was to win at Roland Garros and the second was to become top 10 in the world. I've completed that, so I am very, very happy and lucky, she said. My heart says that I am at peace with this. That I'm very happy about my career, my life and everything. Coaching challenge beckons. Schiavone will not leave the sport completely. She continues to have goals of claiming the biggest title in this sport, but as a coach watching from the sidelines. Schiavone has been mentoring young players within recent months and hopes to one day use her skills to help train the best in the world. After 20 years of my career and life, I have new dreams. I have new dreams every day of my life. My new dream is to come here, to Flushing Meadows, and win a Grand Slam as a coach, she stated. It would be a fantastic emotion for me. For sure, to help some players to reach their goals, playing in an era that featured the Williams sisters and the Big Four, Schiavone has relished her chances to play alongside them. In total she has scored 29 wins against top 10 players, including 2 against Serena Williams on the clay. One of the most important things I learn in this sport is to be a simple person, to be a human person. to have a good attitude. She said, "I think we have many examples on the court with Roger, Rafa and Serena. It is great for me to grow up with them and have a change to play against them." 6 facts about Schiavone's career: played in 61 consecutive Grand Slam main draws. The first Italian woman in history to win a Grand Slam title at the 2010 French Open, has won $11,324,245 in prize money. The 38th highest in history, according to the WTA, has won 614 out of 1093 matches throughout her professional career. She is a 3-time Olympian. Schiavone has won more matches, 27, in the Fed Cup than any other Italian player. The world number 19 required less than an hour to seal a place in the last 4 at Flushing Meadows. Naomi Osaka has become the first female Japanese tennis player to reach a Grand Slam semifinal since 1996, after storming to a 6-1, 6-1 win over Alessia Surenko at the U.S. Open. Playing for a place in her maiden Grand Slam semifinal, the enormity of the occasion didn't faze the 20-year-old. Osaka swiftly settled into the match against an out-of-sorts Surenko, who seemed to be suffering from the after-effects of her 4th-round match. The Ukrainian struggled with a leg injury during her 3-sets win over Marketa Vondrousova, enabling the rising star to cruise to victory with the help of 5 aces and 12 winners. "It means a lot. I want to thank everyone, the crowd, for cheering," Osaka said during her on-court interview. "I fought for every point. I think I have struggled with that in the past, so I feel like I have matured a little bit." She later added, during what was a one-sided opener, Osaka dominated from the onset, breaking for a 2-0 lead thanks to Surenko shot drifting beyond the baseline on breakpoint before sealing the double break at the expense of another error from her rival a few games later. The clinical performance saw the Japanese number 1 drop just 3 points behind her serve en route to a 6-1 lead. In contrast, a lackluster Surenko struggled to minimize her mistakes on the court. Gaining in momentum, Osaka continued to dismantle the problematic Surenko serve, fighting back from 40-0 down, to break immediately at the start of set number 2. Firmly in control, it was only a matter of time before she sealed victory against her below-par rival. Her only blip occurred when she was forced to save 3 consecutive break points whilst serving with a set and 4-1 advantage. Victory was then sealed at the 58th minute of the match when a deep Osaka shot on match point triggered another Surenko mistake. Apart from making history for Japanese tennis, the 20-year-old is the youngest player to reach the semifinal at Flushing Meadows since Caroline Wozniacki back in 2010. Although Osaka didn't get too carried away with her celebrations following the response she received from some concerning her 4th-round triumph. "The other time I cried a little bit, following her win over Aryna Sabalenka, and there was a lot of people making fun of me," she explained. Whilst on the outside she didn't show much emotion, not the same can be said about how she really felt prior to walking onto the Arthur Ashe Stadium. "I was freaking out inside. My entire body was shaking. So I'm really glad that I was able to play well today," Osaka reveled. In the last 4 in New York, Osaka will play either Madison Keys or Carlos Suarez Navarro, 2 players she has yet to defeat on the tour.